Om Prakash ji, we are live.
Okay. So, so dear friends, welcome you all at this platform. And the topic of the discussion today is very relevant and timely. As you can see, the Indus Water Treaty, which survived two major wars, but only recently, in the wake of the Pahalgaon incident, this has been suspended. So, this is the very timely issue to be discussed and talked about. Now, I welcome Dr. Mohit Kumar Gupta. If I can just introduce you to Dr. Gupta. Dr. Gupta is recognized for his studies in nuclear non-proliferation and nuclear energy law. He has made important contribution to the India-United States Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement. He is also an active member of the World Institute of Nuclear Security and the Provisional Secretariat to the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization at Vienna. He is invited by the uh, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization almost every year and has participated into the International School of Nuclear Law in France. So I welcome Dr. Gupta. Now it's all to you to begin with that.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this talk on having a closer look at the uh, Pakistan in the Water Treaty of 1960. So let us first understand the basic background of this treaty. In what circumstances this treaty was, concluded prior to, after the partition. In 1947 onwards, there were problems in the Pakistan, and India had regulated the waters of the rivers, all the rivers. At that time, in 1948, it remained suspended, and thereafter you see that there were certain negotiations between India and Pakistan relating to it, and finally they culminated into this treaty, which is known as Indus Water Treaty of 1960, and which is effective from 1st of April 1960 onwards, and till 22nd of April, it was in force. And now, for the first time, it has been suspended, not terminated, but only suspended for the time being, and suspended cyanide. So, what basically we can look into with respect to this treaty is this that it contains 12 articles, 12 provisions are there, 12 articles are there, Roman 12 articles, which are and apart from it, treaty is though very, very lengthy, much exhaustive, containing at least near about 100 pages. But those articles which have been agreed upon, and of course, articles does not mean merely the treaty, all provisions of the article, all 85 provisions are binding on both the states, India and Pakistan. And World Bank acted as the facilitator for the negotiations, and is a party which is enshrined, uh, not a party to the treaty, but a facilitator, and enshrined its role in Article 5 and Article 10 of this treaty. So basically, if one can look into the provisions of the treaty, then it will be better that we should understand what are various provisions of this treaty as included in its form. So there are in all 12 articles, as I said before, and among which Article 1 as generally concerning the definitional provisions are there in Article 1. And Article 2 concerns, Eastern's, Eastern side rivers. And Article 3 concerns Western side rivers. If I can look into, provisions are there with respect to uh, eastern rivers in Article 2, and then provisions are there in Article 3 concerning western rivers, and then there are provisions which are for the both the sides, and of course for the both the kinds of rivers, eastern and western rivers. So Article 1 defines what is the meaning of the eastern rivers and what is the meaning of western rivers. So east means on the part of India, the three rivers, and west on the part of Pakistan, three rivers. The eastern rivers are respectively uh, Satluj and Bees and Ravi. These are the eastern rivers, and the western rivers are respectively Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum. So these six rivers are, and they are considered to be full blown rivers, as mentioned in the treaty. They are not to be considered as tributary of the either. I mean, they it is not to be said that Indus is I mean, all those four five rivers are tributary of Indus rivers. So it is not to be said as per the provisions of the treaty. Then after having done with these articles, then Article 4 comes into picture, which is on to provisions regarding, as I said, eastern and western rivers, and then there are provisions concerning financial mechanism in which India uh, contributed approximately 6.2 crore pounds. India gave to Pakistan for the construction of rivers, for the construction of different projects to facilitate their purposes in Pakistan, and also there is Indus Basin Development Fund, which is constituted under this treaty. And important thing in this is that there is no right given to India to participate in the decision making uh, with respect to reverse construction of dams, or any sort of projects wherein Pakistan can do. And so no right is given under this treaty to India to participate in any of the decision making process. And then you see, this is the important thing that I wanted to inform you about when we correct to the whether this treaty is to be revisited or revised. Those sort of things coming into discussion at a larger scale. So that is to be looked into. And then you see that Article 6, which is concerning exchange of data, wherein India and Pakistan, they both give data to each other on a daily basis, and also on a monthly basis, as is mentioned. And hydrology of river data, that is also to be given. And 3 months time is there for that. And also there are provisions concerning reimbursement of the costs of the data. When you supply the data to another party, then there is some cost for the data that is to be reimbursed by one party to the other. And then you see that there is Article 7, having dealt with Article 6, which is relating to exchange of data. Then comes into play Article 7, which is concerning the future cooperation, which is very much in contention these days, regarding because number of projects that India is seeing to begin with, and some of them have been constructed, and some of them have been operationalized as well. And then comes into picture uh, uh, Article 8. So Article 8 is about it creates a PIC, that is Permanent Indus Commission, wherein each party is to contribute one member, and associate members are also to be there. So they are to be the engineers of hydrology, and as determined by the parties, and they have to submit a report, jointly together, the commission members, one is from India and one is from Pakistan, and they both submit a report, and that report is to be for the entire financial year. That is 1st April. This treaty came into force on 1st April 1960. So first is the date where from the data begins, 1st April to 31st March, and that data is to be submitted by June. By June, near about by the end of June, it has to be submitted. Data has to be submitted, and then comes into picture. You know that what had happened in 2016 when the first time India suspended this data exchange program, that India stopped exchanging data. That was the first thing that had come into between India and Pakistan, and therefore, Pakistan also, as neutral expert, according to Pakistan, failed to, resolve the dispute between the two states, and then they went to the permanent court of arbitration. As I believe that all of us are aware of what is the permanent court of arbitration, and which decides the disputes. Because there are differences and disputes, and differences are to be negotiated. There is three level of arrangement for dispute resolution, which is set in Article 9 of this treaty. Article 9 provides for settlement of disputes, and which is in the graded manner. That is, first graded manner, it is mentioned in the treaty. It is to be in graded manner. That is, in the first place, it will be at the level of commissioners, and then it will go to the neutral expert, and finally it will go to the court of arbitration, whose decision is binding on both the parties. So these are the basic provisions, and then further we may look into Article 10 also, which are the provisions concerning emergency situations. Emergency provisions are mentioned, and then general provisions are there in Article 10, and then Article 11. There are some general provisions wherein no right or claims to be mixed with other rights or claims. They are not to be united. They are not to be mixed up, so that other obligation of other state with respect to other thing, that they cannot be put together. And then you see the final provision wherein the treaty was signed between representative plenipotentiary in the capacity of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was there, and on the other side was Yaha Khan, no, Ayub Khan was there as the president of Pakistan, and the facilitator, which who was W.A.B. Latif, Ilif, W.A.B. Ilif, who was as a facilitator from the World Bank. So these people had basically signed this treaty. So, but before that, I would like to throw light on what are the basic things as to the law of international water courses. There are certain principles of international law concerning water courses. It is one of the discipline, one of the branches of international law. Law of international water courses is as one of the subject which is taught to us when we were there in MPhil program in JNU. So as a subject, we studied this in this water treaty as well there. So what are the certain basic principles? Of course, let me tell you something more about that. There is also another treaty, which is 1997 Treaty on Non-Navigational Uses of the Water Courses, the agreement on the multilateral treaty, which was signed by the United Nations, and nearly 35 states have signed this treaty, the law of non-navigational uses of the water courses. So the principles that are there, international law principles concerning water courses, which are pertinently important, such as there are five such principles. One of them is equitable and reasonable utilization of water, and then is the information sharing and notification principle. Then the third one is that comes into picture is principle of cooperation, and the fourth principle is the no harm principle, that is not to harm another state. And the last principle is concerning dispute resolution. So the UN Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of the international water courses. This is the basic convention that is there. And there are also bilateral or multilateral agreements between and among states, where water courses states are, the common use of water are, where the issues are raised, which with respect to establish specific rules for management and the shared uses of the water courses. So these five principles, as I told you, one of them is equitable and reasonable utilization. Another is information sharing and notification, and principle of cooperation, no harm principle, and the dispute resolution. So these five principles are there on which this treaty is basically based, right? Uh, uh, of course, this treaty was adopted later, but these some of these principles are implicit in the Water Treaty as well, such as the principle of cooperation and principle of equitable and reasonable utilization of the water resources, information sharing, and notification principle, on which there are, as I told you in the treaty, there are not number of annexes, annex A to H. So eight annexes are there apart from this treaty, which is having 12 articles only. Most of the pages are consumed by these annexes, wherein the data and all regulations relating thereto are mentioned. So this is the treaty, and then this treaty was, what comes into picture when we look into the closer examination of this, as I said in the in the heading of this discussion, that why it comes into picture is this: that India has uh, suspended the operation of this treaty. So, what is the basic law as regards? Because here you see, if you see that international legal perspective. So, another convention on that comes into picture is the Vienna Convention on Law of Treaties, right? So, under Article 62, India has suspended this treaty from operation. So, is there any provision? So, no provision is mentioned regarding the withdrawal of any of the parties from the treaty. In this treaty, it is not mentioned that how another party can withdraw, and those provisions are generally mentioned in all treaties, that notification period and all those things, that 1 year or 2 years time, which will take effect for the notification to be operationalized with respect to the treaty, that is not mentioned. So having said this all, uh, I would like to hear your questions, which is far more important for me to know from you, that what do you want to say about, and what are your views that you look into with respect to the suspension of this treaty by India with respect to Pakistan. So now I would like to invite questions from the audiences, which I will be addressing here.
Yeah, Dr. Gupta, I also would like to add something, whatever you said. Um, Actually, one of the reason why there have been finger raised on this treaty from the last several decades, the the share of water which both country actually they are sharing, this is highly asymmetric. In fact, India receives only 20% of the water, while Pakistan's share is a lion's share of almost 80% water Pakistan actually receives. So, at a time when the water issue have become, a very serious issue in South Asia and globally also, especially in summers, the problem is very, very, uh, crucial. So, in that circumstance, this issue have been raised that why this treaty is an uneven one? Why we should give so much leverage regarding the sharing of water? There has to be at least proportionate sharing of the water. And this issue has been not only raised by the different, sides of the academia, but also from the ruling, circles. In fact, especially the former chief ministers and current chief ministers of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah and Farooq Abdullah. They have been also raising this issue. In fact, time and again, that why we should continue with this treaty. So now, once the treaty has been, suspended by India, Can you just tell us that what could be the possible repercussions? Um, you know, Specifically, suppose if now the Pakistan takes this matter to the international arbitration, what might be the repercussions regarding the same? If you have any some recollections regarding the same.
Yes. So, as you see that I told you the mechanism that is there regarding the dispute settlement, which is Article 9, which deals with that how the dispute is to be resolved, and finally the matter goes in the hands of the ICA, International Court of Arbitration, which decides, and recently it decided that it is competent to determine the questions that Pakistan has raised with respect to interpretation and application of this treaty. So, and now India has till now India has not participated in the proceedings that are going on there. So it is like this, and India has also suspended the operation of this treaty. So no, the question then finally comes to the fact of this treaty being dealt with according to the law of treaties, and wherein law of treaties, if a party has suspended its operation, then further questions arise as to how the things that have been decided prior to the suspension of the operation of this treaty are to be determined. So there are larger questions that are raised in this backdrop. So one of them is, of course, the share of the water. As you said, that 80% of the water is going to the state of Pakistan, whereas India shares only 20% of the water. It is not that percentage, which is the way we are seeing in the newspapers as reported 20% versus 80%. It's not, sometimes it is 70% and 30% that way, because the way India is constructing several run of the river projects on these two rivers, that is uh, 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 Chenab uh, and and Jhelum, these two rivers on which Bagliar project that was long contention between both the states, as we all know. So this is the main problem with respect to Pakistan. Sometimes raises questions. Pakistan, of course, needs water as India needs, but since the treaty was adopted, the time when it was adopted, number of issues relating to hydrology and environment that were not there in picture, and so it has become important to revisit the treaty to maybe, as Prime Minister of India and Minister has said, that to renegotiate the provisions of this treaty. So that is yet to be decided, and how the things will go on in future.
Yeah, so now I think I just open up the platform for everyone to interact. So anyone want to have any question or any comments? I think they are welcome.
So what I would wish is this, that if you may, I have a pen and copy with me as well. So if I may note down the questions of each of the participant herein, and will answer. Maybe we can have first round of questions, then maybe the second round of questions, right? So
Okay, so I think we have received a question here that the question is that given the evolving geopolitical tension and climate cha- change challenges, do you think the current structure of the Indus Water Treaty is still viable for ensuring equitable water sharing between India and Pakistan? Are there any proposed amendments or modern framework being considered? This is one of the questions we have received from the participants.
okay, so this is a very good question. Whosoever has asked, who has asked this question? Can you let me know who has asked this question?
No, I just have received this from the platform. I think the sent by the organizers this question. So I
Okay.
don't have the person's name here.
Okay. Everybody is enabled to speak. Yes, I hope that nobody is muted while the discussion is on. Uh, Yes. So, of course, see, I have, as in the beginning, also clarified this that when this treaty was drafted, when this treaty was adopted and came into force, since that time till now, number of changes have, been made in terms of also demography and also the environment. Environmental issue is the most pertinent issue concerning which there are some of the provisions which are not there in this treaty, which are there in the, as I said to you, the name of the convention I told you, the law of 1997 convention, United Nations Convention of on the law of international water courses. So concerning environment, of course, and then the demographic and requirements of each of the states, the change requirements, the change times. So there are several issues that pertain to why the Indus Water Treaty is to be revisited.
Yeah, right. We have another question from Srikant.
रमेश जी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा था
Srikant Sridhar, he asked this question that actually, why should the treaty be there in first place? With the political tension are there since 1947, so why there is a need for a treaty at all? In fact, that is his question.
So, if you see, look at in terms of India as a democracy, India is a democratic nation and wants its people to have full say, and also wants the peoples of other states to have their full say. And of course, the human rights that is with respect to water. Water has become one of the human rights. If you see several international laws, several treaties, and the provisions therein, so they provide for that water is a necessity. And in terms of that, so of course, there is a provision in the treaty which states that this treaty is signed as a goodwill of both the states, as a friendship, as a friendly cooperative agreement. For that purpose it was signed. But the situations that emerged here and after, that is after 1960, we had 1962 war, we have almost four wars with the state of Pakistan since then. And of course, if this war, this that ended yesterday, if it is to be classified as a war or a skirmish of a sort, then also we can say that five such situations have emerged so far. And at none of these situations, at none of these times, the even treaty was this treaty was not even suspended, in terms of, because India values the human rights considerations, and therefore, had it been, if we see, had it been the state of Pakistan, the picture, the behavior of Pakistan, it indicates the picture would have been entirely different, right? So, in this view, I look at.
Yeah, Dr. Gupta, we have one more question by Bhumik Sharma.
Yes.
So Bhumik Sharma asks that how does the Indus Water Treaty compare to other international water treaties in terms of enforceability and dispute resolution mechanism?
So you see that enforceability as regards is concerned, that this treaty is regarded as one of the most successful, the bilateral arrangement between the two states, the most successful treaty in international law between two states. And if you see it, that it has been only the of one part, partially it was suspended, partially means after Uri attack, the information exchange was suspended for a brief period of time. And since 2022 onwards, the information exchange is also suspended. I mean, that entirely it is suspended, information exchange, and the treaty itself entirely has been suspended on 23rd April, of last month. I mean, it was that. So you see that when it comes to the it is in fact leading to the development of a norm in international law. When you look at in a wider perspective, the law of international water courses, if in that view it is looked upon, India is one of the most diligent states in this backdrop. If we look at for the following the rights of the people with respect to the water.
Um, right. I think I don't have a question. I would like to actually comment on one of the aspects of this treaty. Probably a lot of people might have this question also in their mind, that why only this time we have used this treaty effectively to control Pakistan? Why it was not done earlier? Now, regarding this question, I would like to just add that earlier the academia and the intellectuals have this concern that um, since this treaty has the provision of international arbitration, so first, after the state level, if the state level could not resolve this issue, it goes to the World Bank and neutral expert will be appointed. And then, even there, the neutral expert is not going to resolve this matter, then the case goes for the arbitration. So we have seen this in case of the Baglihar issue also and Kisanganga issue, the latest one. And in both the case, India emerged victorious because Baglihar was a big success. There, the ICJ has also given the award in favor of India. And in case of the Kisanganga issue, also the award was given in case of India, in fact, because the prime issue which the court has seen that what is the flow of water, and it was found that India has been maintaining the proper flow of water, which is as per the international norms. And based upon that, this award was given that India can go ahead with its hydroelectric projects. In fact, right. So then, 2018, this Kisanganga project was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and earlier also Baglihar, and now a series of projects India is actually coming out on these western flowing rivers like Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum. In fact. So one of the possible reason why earlier India have not used this effectively to control water seems to my mind is that they were concerned that if we are going to stop the flow of water, this is going to create a humanitarian crisis for the people of Pakistan. That is one of the concerns coming from the civil society, and academia and intellectuals. Second concern was that if the treaty, if the water flowing will be stopped, then probably such reciprocal measures China can also do regarding the Brahmaputra water, in fact, because Brahmaputra river also flows from China towards India. So several such concerns were there, but we have seen first time that the Indian government has really used this treaty effectively, and hope this sort of posture may create, in fact, more and more concern among the authorities of Pakistan not to involve into any future adventurism or such uh, terrorist activities which they are involved in, right?
Right, you are right to say that, and as I think that if you see it, that as you said in the beginning, that India can use 20% of the 20% water of the western rivers. But till date, India is not in a position, even after construction of the several run of the river projects, India is not able to use more than 3% of the water that is available there. So it is a difficult terrain, how the water, of course, of these western rivers remains in India, and India, if wants to control their water, India is not able to do that. India will not be able to, make a good case. It will not be able to store that water. That capacity is not there. Even if it wants, some of the experts say that it can, in any circumstance, it cannot use more than 10% of the water that is of the eastern side, of the western side rivers that are given to the Pakistan.
Yeah, Dr. Gupta, we have one more question by Mr. Pawan Dahake. His question is, it is being circulated that India had accepted non-favorable conditions. So if it is so, what inspired India to accept such problematic condition in long terms for long terms condition?
So it is
Should
not
I repeat
mentioned
the?
in the,
Uh,
if we look at it, then in the treaty provisions, it is not mentioned that uh, how the treaties, the revocation, withdrawal, and all those provisions, they are missing from this treaty. And one particular reason why they are missing is this, that it was thought that the treaty will be in force ad infinitum, that is for the permanent period, and it will never be, be dropped from the statute book.
yeah, there was one more question by Mr. Abhishek. He asked why Pakistan was obstructing the project, although it was a run of the river project.
Of course,
So, regard, yeah, yeah,
this was very important question at in 2016. I attended one of the conferences wherein this question was raised, that why there used to be no issue in fact, except the information exchange and other things, with respect to which India is bound to do that. And but Pakistan raises unnecessarily, because there is fear in the state of Pakistan. Pakistan feels that India may utilize water to the greater extent. Even if, see, if you look into, there are two ways to look at it. First way is that you can look into that the treaty needs to be renegotiated, and another view is this, that treaty does not need any reevaluation, and anything that is to be renegotiated. So if in the larger framework, as I said to you before, that India cannot by any means use more than 20% of water, percentage of water that is allotted to it in any circumstance. So where will
yeah,
this water go? Where will this water go? So there is no
yeah,
option. And of course, another important thing that comes to the mind is with respect to the uh, uh, climate change issues and the drainage system with respect to environmental impact. EIA provisions are also there mentioned in the treaty sometime, somewhere. So that thing comes to for a consideration as to why this treaty should be renegotiated. Other than any objective to just to if it is not a sort of threat, if you one can say to the state of Pakistan that yes, look, we are going to use as a weapon against you. That is not fair. As you see that in 2016, there was a statement that had come into light that blood and water cannot flow together. When 2016, when India suspended the information exchange program to the Pakistan, so that statement came from India, that blood and water cannot flow together.
yeah. That was by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So there was one more question by Mr. Pran Sutosh Kumar. By looking the situation of war between India and Pakistan, can the Indus Water Treaty be considered a potential instrument of warfare? And what are the ethical implications of using water as a tool of political pressure?
So, if you, as I said before, this question is if you are listening to the entire lecture, as I said, that India is the most obliged state in respect of human rights. So, if the record may, other states may say anything about it, but India is the most compliant state as regards, water rights and the human rights of the people. So, therefore, India is not likely to use for it for the long term. It is just for the short period of time this treaty has been made suspended. The operation, the operation, but soon it will in the June month when comes, India will require to submit a report. So there will come into picture the larger questions that if India, as I said, that India has suspended this treaty cyanide, no period has been mentioned, so it may continue further for long period of time, say more than a year or two. Then what will happen? So then the other larger questions will come into play into picture, and maybe uh, if India continues with with the suspension, then Pakistan may move to the International Court of Justice as well. to decide upon the issues that have been that are there.
Yeah, right. I think this was really, very good deliberation on this very treaty, which is, originated in 1960. Although immediately after partition, Pakistan has raised this concern because in 1948 itself we had a war with Pakistan on Kashmir itself. So since then, Pakistan was fearful that India may stop the flow of water, and almost the next 12 years, it negotiated, at the international fora, and then finally this treaty came into existence. And now further, we note that how this treaty can be a very effective tool in the hand of India to, we can say, to make Pakistan negotiate or make Pakistan, stop its policy of state terrorism, sponsor terrorism. In fact, so that is something I think that is going to be significant in the days to come. So in the end, I would like to thank Dr. Gupta for
So,
your
if I can say
deliberation.
if I can say some more things regarding this treaty, will you allow me to say something more? A couple of
Sure,
minutes.
sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing as regards this treaty is the financial assistance that is provided to Pakistan from India and the World Bank that comes into picture at a larger scale. You see that the way when in 1950s it was the hydrology of that portion that land was into that came into picture. Then it required a lot of funds. So whether the question comes whether that funding which is coming to the state of Pakistan, whether is it I mean if it is used for rightful purposes as it comes for. So this is one question that comes to the mind of a number of people who who want to renegotiate the provisions of this treaty. And in the end, I would like to share one couplet, and that couplet is from my mother. And she had when I was just I remember when I was just a child of 6 or 7 years, that time when I had heard this in Hindi, that how I always remember these rivers, all the five, all the six rivers are on the map of all the six rivers are in my brain enshrined like anything. So she had said that what the couplet I remember, I am just going to say it. It says that सतलज से ब्यासा मिली, रावी मिली चिनाब, सतलज से ब्यासा मिली, रावी मिली चिनाब, ऊपर से झेलम गिरा, बना मुल्क पंजाब. So when five rivers state of Punjab is referred to in this way, she used to tell me, and I recollected the time when I was delivering. I thought I will definitely speak my mother's word uh, at this forum, which is informal in nature. So uh, this is all from my side. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Gupta. Thank you so much for putting your input. And again, thank you again, to being part of this forum. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.